Welcome to Stop the Fight, episode 40. And today we are talking this weekend's Lomachenko fight. Let's go! Now that we are back to our scheduled programming, we can talk about the fights this weekend. Now, we've got two fights I kind of want to talk about. Really just Lomachenko. I'll mention two more on the side towards the end, but let's talk about it. In the Hall of Fame stack, the Build Your Legacy 135-pound lightweight division, we got another fight. This is the four horsemen that fought 3 weeks back to back. We had, of course, Kambosos Teofimo 2 weeks ago. Then we had our boys Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis last week. And now we get Lomachenko versus Richard Comey. It's a big deal, guys. I think people are sleeping a little bit on this fight. Everyone just expects Lomachenko to come in and walk over Comey, and you know, I don't think it's going to be so easy. I mean, it could be, of course, obviously. Lomachenko's a grade A talent. He's what we call, I would say, an A, maybe A-minus level. Let's call him A-minus at 135. But anything below 135 pounds, he's an A-plus level fighter at 126. Historically rated, I would think. So here he is at 135 pounds, lightweight, and he's fighting against Richard Comey. Now, why do I think this fight is, a lot of people say, this fight is sealed and done. Lomachenko's going to walk away with it. Well, you see, Richard Comey is, guys, styles make fights. I know this is like one of those truisms in boxing, and it's a trope, but it's there. I'm telling you guys, it's a truism for a reason. Styles really do make fights, and I believe Comey has more in common with Teofimo Lopez than people would want to believe. Like, yes, of course, Lomachenko can come in there, box circles around his head, but Richard Comey's a strong fighter. Same size as Teofimo Lopez, by the way. They are both 5'8" fighters. So both orthodox, both 5'8". Both very heavy-handed. Remember, Richard Comey is 30-3 with 27 knockouts. Wins by way of knockout. This is a very heavy-handed fighter, and since getting sparked out of there by Teofimo in round 2 of their fight, he went and KO'd Jackson Martinez in his previous outing. Lomachenko, of course, also victorious in his previous outing by really outclassing Nakatani, which was, I think, a bit surprising. I expect Lomachenko to win, but wow, I even put some money on Nakatani. It was all around kind of like, I saw the odds were too wide. I really didn't think that Lomachenko, after the kind of trouble that Teofimo had with Nakatani, I never believed Lomachenko would put a work in on him like that, but he really did. So let's talk about, again, here's the Comey fight. Why do I not believe that Lomachenko will put on the same kind of work on Comey? Well, it's not that I don't believe that Lomachenko will put that work on Comey. I believe he could put that kind of work on Comey. But I also believe that much like Teofimo growing out of a lightweight, Lomachenko is growing out of boxing weight. In other words, what do I mean by this? Like I said, the older you get, especially in these lighter weight classes, and especially as being the guy who relies on athleticism, which Lomachenko does. It's a lot of skill, but it's also a lot of athleticism. He stays in the danger zone and uses his feet to move in and out of danger. Set up his shots, do all the interesting stuff you love to see with Lomachenko. Those things are done, my friends, by footwork. Footwork, guys. And what is going to be one of the first things to go as your reflexes start to slow down? It's that in and out, very quick feet of Lomachenko that I believe will be the first to slow down. Now, at 33, do I believe he will slow down much since his fight on Nakatani? No, of course not. I'm not saying Lomachenko's going to show up an old man, although with the amount of fights that he's had, amateur included, you never know. So when I look at this fight, now generally speaking, of course, I believe Lomachenko will win. I believe some people are being very foolhardy and just proclaiming it a very obvious win for Lomachenko. I'm sure Lomachenko probably wins this fight, you know, let's say 1 out of 5 times easily. But with a heavy-handed, bigger guy like Comey, it's entirely possible Lomachenko gets caught. It's entirely possible that he has the same issues he had in the Teofimo fight. Remember, it took Lomachenko 5-6 rounds before he can start to get going, before he saw Teofimo slow down just enough for him to start working. Will the same thing happen here? I don't know. The plus minus the betting odds over here are on DraftKings, of course. Lomachenko at minus 900. Comey plus 600. The over-under is at 8.5 rounds. The under at 105. The over at minus 115. Minus 105. Minus 115. So the casinos are telling you that, well, they believe that it's more likely the fight goes longer than shorter. And of course, because Lomachenko has never been stopped. Comey being stopped is one thing, but Lomachenko has never been stopped. And, you know, can Lomachenko stop Comey? Comey's been stopped one time, and that's by Teofimo, who's a monstrous, murderous puncher. Lomachenko does not have that kind of pop in his hands, but he does have the ability to get a fighter out of there, either by way of frustration, by just landing so many more shots. Like, if Comey's slow after tomorrow, if Comey's slow after tomorrow, Lomachenko will absolutely destroy him. You cannot be too slow against Lomachenko. You have to put on some speed. Like, if you're one of those strong guys, I know Comey has a tendency for this, but the ref will stop it. If you're sitting over there eating 20, 30 unanswered punches around, you're going to get stopped. Like, they'll just stop the fight. They're going to wait until there's a bad enough flurry. You know, Nakatani's fight could have even been stopped a little bit earlier than it was, because simply it was apparent by the middle rounds that not only is Lomachenko dominating Nakatani, but Nakatani is getting hurt even by the shots that don't look like they're all too hard. He was getting hurt too because he couldn't see where they were coming from. The same thing may happen here, and you may get a relatively early stoppage. But I do not like the over-under play over here. Certainly, I don't like the under 8.5. Under 8.5 means the fight gets stopped before the middle of the 9th round. At exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds in the 9th round. The reason why I don't like that is that I say whatever you want about Lomachenko. He's not been in there with Linares and Teofimo Lopez. He's in there with Walters as well. He knows what heavy-handed sorry about that. He knows what heavy-handed fighters are like. He's felt their power. He has been shown to have a good chin. Not so much a good chin. He doesn't get hit cleanly. You know, it's very rare. It's certainly not early on in the fight. Lomachenko has shown that early on in the fight he will absolutely high guard up, move around, see where you're throwing from. Comey's not going to catch him in a wild exchange early on in the fight. No, sir. So I believe that underplay is entirely, you know, it's kind of useless for us. I wouldn't bet on that. It's not even good giving you good odds at minus 105. That's a little bit worse than equal money. So again, guys, not financial advice, please. You make your own bets. You make your own bets, friends. You're all grown people. Come on now. Don't start with me. All right. So, you know, what are we looking at here? So how do we play this bet? Well, at plus 600, I believe you have to kind of look at it. You know, I believe Comey to be a durable guy, and I don't think Lomachenko probably stops him. I don't think he does. I think maybe Comey is able to grind it out here. So I would take Lomachenko by decision at plus 260 or the other way around, with Comey by just outright win at plus 600, with Lomachenko by decision as plus 260. Is that a risky fight? Is that a risky bet? Of course, if Lomachenko's really, 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 really putting it on him, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna take Comey with Lomachenko by decision. It's a high risk play. I'm just doing it because that's where I think there's any possibility to make the money. Taking Lomachenko at minus 900 outright is silly. And yes, of course you can win by stoppage. Of course you can put it on enough to hurt him. I think you can get the Lomachenko by stoppage at minus 150. I want to say something like that. I don't want to take that. That's not the play for me. I wish you guys luck if you do go that route. Now, let's talk about another fight we have this weekend. This weekend is packed. we have Katie Taylor versus Firuza Sharipova. And Katie Taylor, again, I've been picking against her all the time. And I think I'm going to keep doing it. I said last time that Katie Taylor, I said that against Jennifer Hahn has no chance. Why? Because Katie Taylor is a volume puncher, and Jennifer Hahn at the time was 18-3. Yes, 18-3. She has 18 wins, only 1 win by knockout. You cannot beat a boxer like Katie Taylor by outboxing with less power, because Katie Taylor is a premier boxer, and at 135 pounds. And here she is. She had problems with Natasha Jonas. I believe that fight was probably within 1 round of swinging for Natasha Jonas. And we were right. We would tell you exactly what would happen when Katie Taylor ran into a heavy-handed fighter. Natasha just could not turn over enough punches with enough power to really dissuade her. Now over here we have her against this Firuza Sharipova. Firuza now is 14-1 with 8 knockouts. Her lone loss coming in her very first fight. Recently, though, she's had a few stoppages. But against who? Here's the problem. If you're going like, oh, well, okay, Firuza, maybe she's got a shot. She's a plus, let me tell you this much, plus 1,000. 10-1, 10 times your money, right? I mean, yeah, if you say I want to put $5-10 on her or something like that, $20 on her, you have 20 laying around, yeah, why not? Maybe a $20 bet gives you 200, maybe. But realistically, let me tell you the 2 people she's knocked out recently. 2 fights ago, Yulia Chernoborodova. Chernoborodova wound up being 0-1-0, who Firuza stopped. Then she wound up having a TKO victory over Lyubov Belyakova, who was debut. Guys, we're talking about a couple of fights ago. Look at this. Natasha Trisheva, debut. Half of the fights that Firuza has fought against have been debuts. If you count up, she lost her debut, of course, but she fought against the debut. Of her 8 knockouts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 8 knockouts came against fighters who were debuting. Guys, I believe there is no chance Firuza beats Katie Taylor here. As a matter of fact, I believe the under in this fight, it may be reasonable to take. The under 8.5. The other at plus 290. That's almost 4 times your money. Does Katie Taylor have pop? No. Does she have enough pop where this girl, who's practically fought 0-1 fighters the entire time? Yeah, I believe she probably does have enough pop for that. I believe she probably does. If you look at the Kazakh fighter, Sharipova, you can see why she is getting fed a lot of debutantes, or whatever you want to call them, debutees. And it's because she's a decent-looking woman. Like anything else in life, if you look decent, it'll help your career. I'm not saying this, I'm not saying she can't fight. I've never seen her fight. But just looking at her record, looking at the fact that, 5 of her 8 KOs came against people who have debuted, it doesn't leave me much confidence in taking the plus 1,000 underdog. That sounds about right. As a matter of fact, if I look at her, only 2 people of her last 6 fights have had winning records. Again, this isn't to say she can't win. It's just saying that you have to understand the kind of dog you're talking about. I believe Katie Taylor is there for the taking at 35 years old. I believe she is there for the taking. I've seen her very winded in her last few fights when she fights. Very winded, even if she's winning wide. She seems to be very winded, even in these 2-minute rounds. I think her cardio is just fine. I think her age is a problem here. So, as a matter of fact, I probably like the under in this card. I actually think Katie Taylor will stop her. I think I like the under. I think I'm gonna throw a little bit on Sharipova with the under at plus 290. And now let's talk about Dinair versus Raymar Gabaio. Guys, this is going to be my big underdog pick. I am picking Gabayo to win this fight. I think he may actually stop Dinair. Now, let's talk about Gabayo for a second. He is 24-0 with 20 knockouts. So a heavy-handed guy, 83% knockout. And recently, he wound up beating by split decision in a close competitive fight Emmanuel Rodriguez, who himself is a good up-and-coming fighter. Very close fight. Very close fight, I thought. He actually wound up getting, obviously, stopped by Inoue, but I don't think there's, it doesn't say anything that you get stopped by Inoue. A lot of people get stopped by Inoue. But I think I want to take, I like Gabayo in this fight. Now, Dinair is, I picked him last time. It was actually a big underdog win for us. Do you guys remember? It was, who was he fighting? Nordine, who was that guy? Nordine what? Nordine Bball. There we go. And I told you the physics was all wrong. A short southpaw ducking right into Dinair's hooks. Remember? I kept mentioning that was an issue. That was a physics issue. That the fight doesn't make sense from a physics perspective. That is completely gone in this fight with Dinair. I hope you understand that, guys. You shouldn't look for a similar. I mean, of course, a similar kind of outing can happen, but you shouldn't look for it. Why? Well, Bball was a southpaw. He was turning right into the best punch that Dinair has, that hook. With Gabayo, he's an orthodox fighter with a similar height to Dinair. Dinair is 5'7", Gabayo is 5'6". Orthodox. The hook is not going to land the same way. In exchanges, it will, but you're not automatically closed to the distance the way a southpaw would be. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the hook, it's a natural hook. That's different. With a southpaw, it's a different ballgame. So why do I like this fight? Well, I like this fight for no other reason than I think the plus 290 for Gabayo is I think it's just not the right call. I think this fight is 50-50, to tell you the truth, which is really why I'm going. I think it's a 50-50 fight, and I think, if we look carefully at the Bball fight with Dinair, watch the fight. It's only a few rounds, but Bball was able to really land on Dinair. And I think it made Dinair uncomfortable in a few points. Even before the knockdowns. I know it, and I think at points after the knockdowns. I know all you're going to remember is, oh, yeah, we all were right. But at points over there, I was getting a little nervous. Dinair was landing a lot of hits through. And guys, that comes with being 39 years old, fighting at 118 pounds. Guys, this is a huge... this is an ancient weight at this weight class. If this was 140, like we're talking about 140, 160, we're talking about Golovkin being old at middleweight at this age. At lightweight, this would be considered like decrepit old. But at bantamweight, guys, at bantamweight, this is an ancient mummy walking. I believe any punch can hurt Dinair, and I believe any punch can put him out. I believe going forward, I was going to say this before, but I believe going forward, like if Dinair gets Inoue again, I don't believe that he will be able to put on the same kind of performance against Inoue that he did last time. And remember, a lot of the performance that he was able to do against Inoue is because he's 2 inches taller. He's just a much bigger guy. I believe that if there is an upset to like kind of roll in, bank in some money. I know last week, congratulations to my friend 2 weeks ago, who went all in on Kambosos and wound up taking home a couple of stacks. Very nice pick. But I think this is one, if I had to pick an upset of which I really feel it in my gut, I believe Dinair is going to be in some trouble with Gabayo. I like the plus 290 underdog, Raymar Gabayo. And of course, if you guys want it, you can straddle it with Dinair by the KO, because I believe at this age, yes, he did go the decision with Inoue, but if you look at his past few fights since the Frampton fight, you get KOs One decision and KOs. You have to assume that the older the fighter is, the less likely he wants to box for 12 rounds, especially at these weight classes where speed is so determinant. Speed, you age quick at these younger weight classes, at these lighter weight classes. You just do. So I believe this is the fight right here. I'm actually not even straddling this. I may just, all in on Raymond Gabayo. That's just how I feel for this fight. I feel confident. I believe Dinair's time has come. We have Bball as well fighting this weekend. He's fighting against Salamov, which seems like a stay busy fight for Bball. Again, light heavyweight is it seems like it's partially unnoticed with Canelo unifying the 168-pound belts. There's really nobody left for Canelo to fight on 168. He's gonna make it now. Obviously, he's going up to cruiser for a title, but I think lightweight is where he may try. Light heavyweight is where he may try to maybe pick off some more of these champs. But Bball, I think, is the most vulnerable champ for him. Why? Well, if for no other reason, it's just the size. He's the smallest light heavy. He's really a super middleweight at 6 foot tall. He's not that big. And I think even Caleb Plant may have been like a similar size to him. He's not that big. He's recently showed vulnerability in the second half of his fight with Richards. He was hurt and nearly put out in one of the rounds by Joe Smith. I think it may have been the last HBO card or the second to last HBO card. I think there's a lot of champs that Canelo, or a lot of champs throughout the sport that Canelo may be looking at, but I think Bball may be one of them. I believe Bball is a very highly skilled fighter, but he does not seem to have that kind of pop. I think with Canelo, you have to make him honest very quickly. You see what he does to fighters who can't. Like Kovalev didn't want to sit down on the shots. That's what happens. Caleb Plant couldn't sit down on the shots. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't have the pop, and that's what you have. He will eventually walk you down. He'll take your shots, and he'll take your salt. And I believe something similar would probably happen with Bball. Again, I'm not bad-mouthing Bball. It's more that I'm hyping Canelo. So those are kind of like your main big fights this weekend. You also have obviously Conor Benn and Chris Algieri is the main fight on the Katie Taylor card. Is just Chris Algieri I thought was out of the sport. He's a good guy, of course, a good fighter. I thought he was out of the sport. But here he is still sticking around. He does have victories. He hasn't lost since the Spence loss. So he's kind of been undefeated in the past 5 years. He only have 4 fights against. Outside of Daniel Gonzalez, it's really been a bunch of literally who's. But, I like Chris Algieri. I know everyone memes him about the whole Manny Pacquiao. We're going to let the tiger out of the cage now. Got him where he wanted him. But he's an okay fighter, really. Not a bad fighter at all. Good guy. Great announcer, by the way. So, that's that. Anyway, guys, this is going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this packed weekend of fights. And I'll see you Sunday, Monday. It's over!